I really like just diving in without a disclaimer.
Cool.
Yeah. Now I had to really rethink that, being nervous about, well, what if my employer hears this and is unhappy that sometimes I use swears or talk about how the government education system has flaws, it's imperfect.
Sure.
And then I thought, okay.
Yeah, that's a conversation at least I would be willing to have.
Sure.
Some sort of backing to it, some knowledge behind it, and then also, well, how do we make it better then? What would you say? Not necessarily you, but to my admin. They're like, okay, well, give me some feedback. What do you think?
Yeah. And that feedback may be duly noted and disregarded because this is my life and my hobby. And
exactly.
Like, you are the government, but you don't get to govern how I speak when I'm not at work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, if I played one of these that's full of swears for the kids at school, very different, right? But that's not what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have done to that. First of all, it would be really nice if everybody watching and listening would follow, subscribe. If you ever get frustrated at work and feel like you want to smack a kid, smack that like button instead.
We're here for you.
We're here for you. Yeah, definitely. Every interaction helps the potential that this could grow. And so thank you, everyone that it only takes a second to click follow or click subscribe on YouTube or whatever. And that helps a lot. So thank you to those that are going to take the time to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. What else was I going to say as a prelude? Nothing. Let's talk about this book.
Here for it.
We haven't talked about this book for a long time.
It's been a minute. Still relevant.
I have our last 2 conversations yet unpublished.
Okay.
So they'll come out, but I like that we're jumping back in with these chapters we're talking about.
Me too.
9 and 10. They're like the meat. They're huge.
Yeah.
It's literally one chapter that he split into 2,
mm-hmm.
which I think is cool because there's so much to it. And it's still like a third of the book.
Yeah.
It's
like 50 pages that we're going to be covering.
Yeah. Or at least just commenting on. I don't know if we'll cover. There's so much there. And I would really, since it's supposed to be a book study, if anybody was going to read this book, Grading for Equity, what it is, why it matters, and how it can transform schools and classrooms. And that's no understatement. Like, literally, it can transform schools and classrooms.
Absolutely.
By Joe Feldman, who's a really nice guy. Thank you. Here, hold up the book. Mm-hmm. Buy the book. Listen to the audiobook. The audiobook's actually really well read.
Yeah.
I've read the paper copy multiple times. I've listened to the audio now multiple times. And it's worth a re-listen a year at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. My recommendation, I don't know, Morgan, how you feel about this. My recommendation would be, if you really don't know if you have the time to read the whole thing, start with 9 and 10.
100%.
And then go back and fill in the blanks.
Yes. Answer the questions that you have by reading, through the table of contents in those chapters, and you can delve in when you're ready. But this is the main idea and probably where you're going to have the most questions / pushback, depending on if you bring it,
Mm-hmm.
to your peers, to your admin. Because this is where it gets controversial, to a degree.
Sure.
Where if you don't understand the method, I could see why people would be like, nah, I'm super chill off that. Thank you, though.
Yeah.
So
it challenges established structures, challenges the grading methods to which we're probably accustomed because they probably existed in all of our K-12 schooling and college,
mm-hmm.
or at least the majority of it, with rare exception. And so I agree that they have the potential to provoke the most scrutiny by the reader and anyone with whom they try to have a conversation about it.
Definitely.
So worth a chat and a rechat and a rechat. But there are so many anecdotes, stories, examples, explanations of reasoning in there that I think any teacher with any kind of experience could read through them and find one story that really resonates with them, where they hear a description of an interaction with a student they've had.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be enough to help you really think about your own philosophy of grading. It seems like that's what Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 do, is examine your philosophy of grading. Mm-hmm. What do you want your grade to measure? What do you want it to do? Mm-hmm. What is it for? Is it for measuring academic achievement? Literally quantifying what's happening inside a student's brain? Mm-hmm. Or is it to control? Mm-hmm. Or to provide yourself the illusion of control, which is really the big issue?
Yes. It's fascinating. It also helps to give kind of a blueprint, a little bit more of that structure too, of like, okay, well, if you feel, removing this, and we'll obviously get more into it, but removing this portion that you may value now, this is why it doesn't need to be there. Mm-hmm. This is why, this method is better, and if you can see that with, open mind, it really does transform your classroom, really does transform your relationship with your students, because it brings it back to learning, relationship building, classroom management, all of that. That's the art, right? This is the science of what we do.
Well said.
So that is what I really enjoyed about this, because if you're struggling with your art, that's a different, that's a completely different ballgame. That's a self-reflection on you. That's something that you might need to, seek further support with either, peers, whatever it might be, your admin. But in regards to what your job is to educate, this is how to measure that appropriately.
I agree. I think Chapter 9 does a really good job bridging the type of appeal that the book is using to try to motivate the reader, because the earlier chapters have a lot more of maybe a pathos, if we're going to talk about rhetorical appeal, a lot more emotional. Mm-hmm. This isn't right. This isn't good. This is not improving our actual equitable treatment of students, meaning we treat everyone fairly and assess them the same, mm-hmm. regardless. In Chapter 9 and 10, it really explains logically, a lot more of a logos appeal. Mm-hmm. Logically, if you do this, this is what you're really measuring. And if you do this, this is how it's actually affecting not just the grade, but student motivation and lifelong habits, which is huge.
Yeah.
Because our job is not just for you to remember one little standard from my content. I'm trying to make you into a person.
Yes.
Which, when you're able to free yourself from the confines of standards and pacing guides and rigid structure of the manufacturing model of schooling, and think about what is it that I actually do? I'm a mentor to children, mm-hmm. and I'm trying to help augment what all the other adults in their life are hopefully doing, turning them into a person.
Definitely.
So 9 and 10, start there.
Here we go.
Yeah. And they're so long. I love the model of, I don't remember who taught me this, and I don't know why none of my high schoolers seem to know this. Read the chapter review questions first, then go read the chapter.
Yes. Yep.
How is that not just the way we always read from our first textbook?
Yep. I remember who taught me that, actually.
Who?
So her name was, or is, Jill Mortensen. When I had her, she was Jill Francis, so it was before she was married. Mm. She really challenged me in regards to my organization and my discipline within the classroom. There are some strategies and techniques that I see that she did that come from this kind of methodology of like, okay, well, let me teach you how to study. Let me teach you how to combine all of the information that I've given you in a way that works for you so that you can perform well on my tests, because my tests are challenging. She's my world history teacher. Mm-hmm. And that was a subject that I didn't have a lot of value in. I didn't find a lot of value in. It didn't resonate a lot with me. I wasn't exposed to, a lot of those types of stories or whatnot. And history was not a subject that I was passionate about. So the challenge of her class, as well as her incredible organization and structure, she was one that taught me not only check out those review questions, see what you can find, but also another study strategy, relevant, not relevant, do heading questions. So as we went through each chapter, every single heading, subheading, create a question from that and answer it. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that in a sentence or two, great. If it takes you a whole paragraph, great. Do it. And so that, level of work and discipline and theory of how to review rather than just a quick skim over everything, incredible. I love her. She's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
What a good story. What a W teacher.
A W teacher.
That's great. I don't remember who taught me that. I remember before I taught K-12, teaching junior colleges, teaching an EMT program, teaching students that because it's so textbook heavy to learn all of this healthcare related material, lots of lower DOK, lots of memorization. There's so much medical vocab and understanding the anatomy and that you have to understand before you can get into the reasoning and the, synthesis and analysis. And I would have so many students of all ages, like 16 to 60, who would come to me and say, Schulke, I read the whole chapter twice and I feel like I didn't learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
And to realign them and ask, okay, what were you trying to learn before you started reading? Oh, I don't know. Whatever's in the chapter.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. So you might have to go question by question because guess what? Some of these book publishers do a pretty good job making chapter review questions. And if you go question by question and try to answer them and be able to answer them in a manner that makes you sound like the teacher, that should be your goal. Be able to answer every single one of those questions, especially the hard ones at the end, especially question 43. Or
the challenge.
The challenge question. Yeah, be able to answer them in a well-articulated paragraph that explains everything and uses all the vocab. That's your goal. And it blows my mind how students can be in their senior year of high school and not know that yet, or in college and not know that yet. That's your goal. Not read the chapter until you accidentally have memorized it. Yeah. And maybe we teach too much memorization. Maybe that's directly related to this conversation about graded.
Yeah. Genuinely.
So where do you want to go with this? I know we could go through an outline, but there's so much to it. Should we start with the chapter review questions and go backwards?
I think so.
I love it. So what page are we going to?
So from chapter 9, questions to consider, I'm assuming?
Sure.
125.
125. I have highlighted things. I have if you want little tabbies or highlights or
thank you.
If you want to scribble in your book, scribble away.
I took a pen already.
Good.
Appreciate you.
Good. I love a paper book. And 2, I love to mark the bejesus out of it.
Me too.
Helps you think. Annotating is good. All right, 2 big questions to consider. Number 1, in the professional world, what are some different consequences when something misses a deadline? Do those consequences exempt the person from ultimately performing the task? This comes into the question of late work, deadlines, learning on a schedule or learning it eventually, retakes, things that are addressed in a lot more detail in subsequent chapters in 11, 12, 13, 14. Or 11, 12, 13 talks a lot about the how, especially about late work makeups, that kind of thing. And 9 and 10 are like the what. Are you going to do this or not? So, Morgan,
yes,
your response.
Okay, so
in the professional world.
Well, in the professional world, if you miss a deadline, right, you could be fired. You could lose money. You could also, depending on what that deadline specifically is, like if it's just something that you kind of arbitrarily put for yourself in order to make it so that you're not procrastinating all the way to the end. Sometimes there's 0 consequences whatsoever. It's more of just like, okay, well, this needs to get done kind of thing. So when it comes to in the classroom, like how you're mentioning with late work specifically, it says, do those consequences exempt the person from ultimately performing the task? So with the homework and with the structure of like learning the material, I found it fascinating as the very first time that I had read through this of like homework. Absolutely, it's important. Why would we have homework if there wasn't some benefit to it? It's extra practice if it's needed, right? If that is what a student needs in order to repeat that material so that they're able to perform whatever the standard is that we're trying to give them. Here, what it talks about and what I really enjoyed is that although homework is important, just like when you're about to do a presentation for, your job or whatnot, some people need the practice in front of the mirror. Some people need the, okay, I need to write out all my note cards. I need to do all of this kind of stuff. But some people also can just show up because that already is within their skill set. So this concept of that late work, deadlines, can that student perform? Right? Can that student perform? Is the deadline an assessment? Is the deadline a performance? That's a little bit of a different, situation and kind of question. But here, that deadline usually is, did you do what I asked you to do by the time that I asked you to do it? Right? Or have you reviewed this material? Whatever it might be. I really enjoyed that the idea of homework is there if they need it, but for it to be required as a daily monitoring type of thing is not necessary. It's not something that, it can be always went back to, right? If we get to that performance, if we get to that speech, if we get to that project and whatnot, and there isn't an ability to demonstrate that standard and whatnot, then we go back, okay, well, have you been practicing? That's where the conversation happens rather than practice. Okay, go do it. Why didn't you learn it? Right? It's a complete flip-flop of the way that I was taught in school, probably you too, of the daily homework and making sure that we turn it in the very next day, right before the bell rings or else it's late. And the time frame of that for everybody is different. Yes. So based on their own skills and desires and passions and motivations.
Yeah, the genuine interest that leads to their ability to focus on a subject. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in math and science, you're going to be able to sit and do that homework with a lot more focus than other subjects which you don't care about.
Yep.
And that's not, contrary to popular opinion, that's not ADHD. That's just called being a human being.
Yeah, it's interest.
Yeah. But if you like the epic story time of world history, if it fascinates you to learn about different people and different times, maybe you'd love that and hate the science book. Mm-hmm. We're not the same, all of us.
Yeah.
I agree about your assessment. Like there are deadlines in real life, but it made me think about, as an adult, you're able to prioritize and choose your deadlines.
Sure.
If you're in a job that has a lot of deadlines that you're not doing well with, you're able to quit that job.
Yeah.
And do a different one. You're also able to get fired and be forced to choose a different one that is for which you're a better fit. Mm-hmm. That's real life. Some people do well with stress and deadlines and performance and like it. And when they're focused on a list of things to do, perform very well, mm-hmm. if it's a job that fulfills them in some way. But in school, students aren't able to choose their deadlines or their priorities, mm-hmm. or where to put their time. And in a lot of situations, they're really not able to choose. There are things that are out of their control.
Majority.
Yeah, majority. Pretty much out of all of the students that I have in my current job, I'll have one or two a semester that have the ability to do homework.
Yep.
And will reliably do it. There are some students who are really well focused and want to go home and still think about school. And there are some that just can't because they go home to chaos.
Yeah.
They go home to a home life that does not support school as a priority, mm-hmm. whatsoever. So who am I to make a judgment on that? And ultimately, what might be best, if we're going to use math as an example, you teach math. I loved math. I excelled at math, and math also drove me absolutely insane and provoked most of my fights with teachers.
Yes.
Despite usually being the strongest mathematics student in a class.
Okay.
That's what would provoke the fights. because it would really come down to like an 8-year-old version of me going, F your practice problems. If I can do the hardest one, why do I need to do the other 43?
Yes.
If I can already do this in my head, will you please leave me alone?
Yeah.
Can I do something more fun? Can I do something more interesting? Can we move on? Well, the answer is no, because there's a lot of you in here. And in this factory model, I kind of have to move you all along at the same pace. And that frustrates the teacher. Because would they love to just sit and do math with you at your own pace? Absolutely.
Sure. Oh my God.
Every math teacher all day long. Yeah.
10 students to a class?
10 students, 8, 6.
Yeah.
A small group of 4. They're all roughly at the same level. Yeah. Let's plow through 7th grade in 4 weeks because some of those kids can.
Totally.
Absolutely can. And move on through 8th. And by the end of junior high, they're, starting calculus their freshman year of high school. There are kids for whom that's reality.
Yeah.
And they sit in a class board and then they start to cause problems.
The behaviors come.
Yep. The behaviors come.
It makes sense.
It does. They're bored. They're frustrated.
They're children.
Yeah. And we're not here to redesign the whole school system, but if you identify that that's what's going on, I believe it should become easier to deal with.
Yeah.
If you know, like, oh, that's what I'm looking at. This kid's not a problem. The school system's a problem because it's not meeting them where they're at. It's not challenging them. It's really not helping them learn anything.
It's hard.
Yeah. They learn more when I give them the book and leave them alone.
Because they want to.
Because they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they could sit and read science and math books all day long, or history books, or novels, if we could just sit and dissect literature all day, this 12-year-old would do that, or whatever age you teach. So I'm not convinced how well the idea of deadlines in school and the idea of deadlines in the professional world are even a fair comparison.
I love that you had brought that concept of, well, I can quit, right? I can leave this. This does not serve me. I can find what does serve me. And there's a level of, okay, well, making sure that we have some sort of discipline so that when we do find that area that does serve me, I can do the hard things, right? I do know to a degree how to study or whatnot. But if it is not something that serves me and I do have that skill set for something else, that is an active choice I can make. Yeah. Or that is a choice that is made for me to where it's like, okay, well, then you're done.
Or I can tell my boss, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have that ready by the time you expected it. Where do we go from here? I've been working on it really hard every day the best I can, and we're just not going to get there.
Yeah.
So, because I have a family and I have a life. So where do we go from here? Let's reevaluate. And most human beings will talk to you like a human being.
Sure.
And there a lot of things outside of the professional world, like the real life really doesn't have that. Like, you can reschedule. You can reschedule your driving test. You can reschedule your C-sets. You can
take them again.
You can take them again. You can fail a college class and take it over. Is there money involved? Yeah. Is there time involved? Yeah. Is there academic probation, financially? Yeah, there are consequences, but they're real consequences. Yes. They're not the arbitrary consequences of my job of teaching 200 students at the same time will be the simplest, the easiest to manage if I have everybody doing the same thing at the same time on the same day.
Absolutely.
You will all take the test on this date, regardless of your readiness for it. You will all take it, regardless of how well I've been able to work with you and prepare you for it. That's where we're at. And the homework and the practice problems and the projects and all of those things. That being said, students are not great at organizing their time when it comes to great big tasks.
Sure.
And rely on us to set checkpoints for them.
Sure. That is our job, right? To be able to show them like, okay, well, this large complex system objective that we need to, do, this is a way that you could structure it. This is a way that you could set yourself up so that you're not overwhelmed. If this is something that is an overwhelming concept or task for you, this is a way to kind of break that down so that they do have that practice of scaffolding to a degree, right? Of taking the bits and pieces that work for them, accomplishing them little by little, day by day. And then there are some kids that no matter how, like, for example, I do Genius Hour. I've mentioned this before, right? Large project that they do every trimester where there's a different theme, different topic. But at the end, you need to teach me as if you're a teacher. You need to teach the entire class that concept, right? You need to be a genius in that subject. There are some students that the topics that they pick, they really do a good job of doing it within their wheelhouse and somewhat of already a knowledge base that they have so that they can kind of just take it to the next level. And they can do their projects instead of 12, 13 weeks, they can do them in 2.
Yeah.
Because
they love it.
They love it. They know it. They're going to spend the couple hours every single day at home learning the material, putting it together, trying to reword it so that their best friend that doesn't give 2 shits about it is going to go, oh my God, that's actually kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So allowing them to have that opportunity to have those deadlines and checkpoints, it's also kind of a reminder for them of like, hey, I know you can do this. I know you can do this in the last couple of weeks. You're that type of person. So-and-so isn't. So we're going to help them along. But if you don't want to do that and you do want to have more time in your last couple of weeks, this is what I would suggest. That way, when they do come across the projects or concepts that maybe they do struggle with a little bit more, they have that knowledge base of like, okay, well, if I do this every 3 weeks, okay, how many steps does this actually take? Okay, well, how long is that going to take me to accomplish each step? That is what our job is. But to punify whether or not they do that is where these chapters are really hitting home of, is that necessary to punify the idea and the concept of learning?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they're doing. They are learning what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And
right.
Yeah.
Hopefully that it's a metacognitive process for them learning, how they learn.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know this yet? Do I get it? That's what helped me reevaluate a lot of things about my grading. And so I've been following a lot of the recommendations of this book and others for like 5 years now,
mm-hmm.
including I don't do percents at all. Because when I examined my grading system, I had to ask percent of what? What percent of what am I measuring? And I believe that in most grading systems, it's behavioral and volume based and has nothing to do with your mastery of the material,
mm-hmm.
which led me to feel very good about not figuring out if there was a way within the confines of the school where I was working, etc. Can we grade this in a way that just measures to what degree you understand it? Not how many memorization questions can you get right on a quiz? That's worthless. At the end of a course, that's worthless. While you're building up, while we're building and measuring Webb's DOK, your lower level, your recall, do you understand what all these words mean? Do you understand the basics of these operations, etc.? What I really want is for you to be able to use it at a high level.
Sure.
To give me your TED Talk, to look like an expert.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. I want you to feel confident and appear competent and understand that and know it and feel that you've achieved something instead of being made to feel dumb because you missed all the deadlines and didn't complete a sufficient number of practice problems on my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I really want you to just feel and be competent, be an expert in something.
Right.
And I recognize that I have a lot of luxuries in the positions I've held. Teaching science in a STEM cohort, having a lot of freedom to do project-based learning and things that really are well suited to only assessing summative things in a way that have a huge effect on the grade.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been a lot of learning curves and things that have kind of gone back and forth as far as how am I going to keep a record of their formative work so that when we don't reach the summative learning goal, by the time I'm required to deliver report card grades, because that's the only deadline I have. I'm required to give you a report card grade with a letter. It's required by the state in this school system. if we haven't gotten there, do I have enough data to really investigate and show you why? And if we have progress reports in the middle of a grading period, can I do it then too?
Mm-hmm.
For you to be able to ask me, well, why do I have an F? Let's look at all these things that you didn't complete. Let's go back to the early ones when we were first starting to learn about this. Is there any evidence that you knew it, that you got it? No, I can't see it. Like all these things we did on this day, we did this. Remember when we did that? Yeah. And then at the end of that week, we had a quiz. How'd you do on the quiz? Poorly. Okay. What did that tell you?
Yeah.
It requires a lot of one-on-one attention to build these things with students. I love that doing it that way not only empowered me to do that, but forced me to do it. Because you can plow through a pacing calendar and accomplish nothing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's probably the most common thing that happens, is the more we adhere to standards and standardized testing and rigid sets of teaching materials that we call curriculum, and we just plow through things, every student supposedly in the same place at the same time, you just leave all the kids behind. And you don't recognize that not only are they behind, but they're so disengaged, and it's trashing their relationship with education in general.
Yes,
that's the big picture, right?
Yes.
Like they've learned that school, they know that they're Pavlov's dog, and you're just ringing the bell to see what I'll do. And these things that are mentioned in the chapter, homework, deadlines, participation points especially.
Yeah, no extra credit.
Extra credit. All of these things are manipulative behavior control.
Sure.
To provide the teacher the illusion of control, the illusion of compliance, maybe behavioral compliance to the point that it makes your classroom appear more orderly and quieter, and students kind of following in line in a
busy.
In an industrial revolution, factory-based model, which is what our education system was developed for. And it makes me like upset inside to notice that that's what's going on in a lot of classrooms. And I think a lot of people don't notice that that's what's going on. Even teachers don't realize that that's what you're doing is is like trying to manipulate behavior.
Sure.
Not to get kids to know new things.
And I mean, we're taught that in induction programs, ways to manipulate behavior, ways to, certain strategies, clip charts, right? All sorts of systems of, if you have a student that's not following a structure, following in line with what you have set within your classroom, there's something wrong. It's their fault, right? Rather than it's your fault, or without even using fault, it's you have more control than you think, and it's not by removing their autonomy. You don't have to do that. So, I love the idea and the concept of, right, we were talking about deadlines and whatnot, and when you have to perform, and okay, maybe we didn't perform that well. I don't know about you, but when's the last time that you had extra credit opportunity in the professional world? Right?
Well, I'll tell you, I work for the government in a union shop, and it doesn't matter how good you are at your job. You get paid the same amount. Whether you phone it in or you're teacher of the year, your salary does not change. In some jobs, you can be compensated based on your performance.
Sure.
But we could talk about extra credit. Because I experienced extra credit as a student. I remember doing extra credit things, and usually it was like a cute project. There was no extra learning involved.
Yep.
It was, yes, you're a great student, and I'd love to keep you busy and out of my hair and then give you 104%.
And your parents are involved, and they're able to get you the supplies.
Oh, yeah. Make me a cute something, a fort, a chart, a poster, a project, a thing.
Get me tissue boxes and pencils and things that I need within my classroom.
Yeah. Now we're literally letting you buy your grade. We're letting your parents buy your grade.
That is tough.
What can I contribute to the classroom? If you bring so many boxes of tissue.
Yeah, that's
not great.
No.
Yep.
No.
If you bring cans for the canned food drive, 4 extra credit points, you're just letting their parents buy their grade. And then they learn that that's how the system works. And that's the real problem.
Exactly.
When you teach kids that, when you teach them that their grade has to do with so many other things other than what their brain has developed the ability to do, then that's the way they just move through the rest of their academic career. Is how can I behave differently to get a better grade? How can I comply more to get a better grade? Is there a way that I can purchase my grade with goods or with time?
What can I do other than learn the material?
Correct.
Yeah, that was...
And I see so many students' faces in my memory right now where they just look befuddled, where they, how can I get my grade up? And you just tell them, you can know this better than you do now.
Yes.
Do you understand whatever it is we're learning? Do you understand all this stuff about forces and motion that we're talking about? Newton's 3 laws? Can you explain that to me? Well, no. There you go.
Yeah.
Do you want me to point you in a direction to get started? Do you want to sit and talk about them together? Because we can do that. As long as I can monitor the classroom so the rest of the monkeys don't kill each other.
And I mean, and that's it, right? That also is where there's some pushback from educators of like, well, where do I have the time to do this? This one-on-one, hyper-focused IEP, essentially, right? For this student.
/ private tutoring session in the middle of the school day. Exactly,
right? How am I able to do this? It's not feasible. It's not realistic.
And that's true.
Absolutely it is, right? But kind of setting the stage from the very beginning of the concept of your grade comes from what you know and only what you know, starting that from day one, talking about it at Meet the Teacher Night, right? Those are also the types of conversations that need to be had as soon as possible to be able to shift the momentum of your classroom so that the extra credit questions aren't asked. They aren't banked on. They aren't assumed. And that pushes people as well as, educators in a way that they haven't been pushed before, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just different.
Right.
And it's a little foreign. It's a little bit of a gray area at times, but this also helps it make it not so gray.
Right.
It's as black and white as it should be when it comes to, do you know this material or not?
Yeah.
Right. So I like that it talked about not including extra credit in any way, shape, or form, because sure, you can create another project and whatnot that does talk about the standards, but then we're getting back into the equity, right? Of, okay, well, yes, this student will do that, will use it. They have parents at home. They don't have a sibling that they're taking care of, or a child that they need to take care of, or a sports team that they're a part of, or extra clubs that or working for their family, whatever it might be. They'll get this done and they'll learn the material. Great for them. But for my students that do have all those other factors within their lives to where that's not going to be something that happens, and it's literally just extra work in a way that is not what we've already covered, right? We're reinventing the wheel at that point of trying to deliver this material. And by bringing back our homework, our practice problems, the things that we do already and have as a part of our routine throughout each day, and kind of just like, okay, use it if you need it. Don't use it if you don't need it. Ask questions. Here's how to ask those questions. But don't ask me at the end of the day to do something extra when the extra needs to happen on day one if you're not getting it.
How can you have extra credit when we never did credit? Like, extra what? Because your grade should just measure how well you get it. There's no way to know more than 100%. You can't know more than 100% of what I've tested you on. If there's a way to get more than 100%, then the grade is measuring behavior.
Yes.
And not learning. So, should there be ways for students to go above and beyond if they want to? Yeah. if they are ahead and they're bored, should they be able to use their time the way they want to?
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah, don't distract your neighbor. If your neighbor needs help and you have the ability to help them, please do so. Great.
Yeah.
Would love that. If you also don't want to because you don't have the bandwidth and it's not your job, that's my job, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. I wrote in a recent essay, which is available at educationupgrade.substack.com, that I remember for whatever reasons, and we don't need to go into psychoanalyzing me right now, I don't have a lot of vivid memories of my childhood.
Okay.
I do remember my 3rd grade teacher. His name was Mr. Wright. And I remember his classroom. I can visualize the whole classroom in my head. Where was the multiplication chart on the wall?
Wow.
Where was my cubby? Where was my desk? Which way did it face? Where was his desk? I can see all of it in my head right now. 35 years later, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know why my brain needs to do that. But this teacher, I had a positive enough experience in there because I specifically remember I was allowed, when I had completed my math worksheets, I was allowed to get my book out of my cubby and sit and read. And I would plow through adult sci-fi novels off my dad's bookshelf.
Nice.
My dad loved all these Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, like all these older sci-fi authors. And that's what I was allowed to do. I didn't blow up the class because I was a class clown. I was annoying. I had behavior problems, especially in all the way up to that point, and then the years that followed. And in that class, I'm sure I had, like, I remember, this is a private school. I remember going to the principal's office and getting threatened with a paddle because they were allowed to beat you. Yeah. And, but that was a very positive experience for me because I've always been a nerd. I've always liked learning. I liked seeing how fast I could get the problems done with accuracy, with correctness. If I can do the front and back of this thing, boom, 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 do all the hard problems on my own without having to raise my hand, that feels pretty good. That feels pretty cool. I should be allowed to sit with that for a minute and enjoy it, and maybe even go get out my book and read about robots and spaceships for a while. Where's the harm in that?
Yeah.
That's what most of those kids will do if you allow them, if you let them, if you empower them. And sometimes they'll do what kids normally do. They'll socialize and they'll play because that's what their brains need to do to develop right. And yes, it's pretty much impossible to build in really good systems for that when you're confined to a classroom.
Yeah.
But those are the real challenges of the job, not the content.
Yes.
Your content matter expertise does not matter at all. Like, in the grand scheme of things, right? That's what John Hattie, I have visible learning over here, he found by looking at all these meta-analyses of learning that, yes, the teacher knowing what the heck they're talking about seems to be kind of required for them to be in the position.
Sure.
It also, the degree to which they have that expertise doesn't seem to influence the learning of the children whatsoever. Like teaching, whatever, 8th grade science. Okay. The degree to which I'm an expert in science doesn't really matter, but what really matters is my relationship with the kids. And that's like number one, teacher-student relationships.
Sure.
And if you don't trust me because there's points and everything I'm scoring is really critiquing your behavior, and you see it as a judgment on you.
And who you are, right?
Yeah.
Taking it personally as a student.
Getting an F means I'm a failure. Means I have failed. You're not there yet. I don't have any evidence that you learned this yet. That's a really hard realignment for students. And I think the big challenge for teachers in redesigning the way you grade is it's not going to be smooth or easy. And it is going to be worth it, in my experience at least. But you will probably go a big chunk of the school year before you notice these changes in the kids.
Sure.
That they start to understand within the confines of your classroom, the grade means I learned it. The grade means I get it. And really all it is it's Mr. Schulke's best attempt at measuring how well I get it. And that's all he does is measure it. Just, this test is like a thermometer. and it's trying to measure inside my brain, and that's really hard to do.
Yes.
And some of that measuring might involve conversations, and that measurement can actually change if he starts to understand that I get it better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
What I wrote on my paper doesn't make any sense, but I've raised my hand enough in class that he's going to come ask me, "Hey, Morgan, explain this to me."
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can articulate it well, okay, you're not bad at science, you're a bad writer. Well, this isn't a writing class, it's a science class. Cool. Now you don't have a 2, you have a 3.
Exactly.
Because that's what the rubric says.
Yes. Having an intelligent conversation and being able to show what you know in different ways other than the standard multiple choice, paper, test, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That also needs to be given to fairly assess, right? So if you're making all of your percentage of what this grade is worth is based on what they know, you have to let them show what they know in a way that works for them.
Right.
You, as an educator, have to be flexible in that way and have to be creative in that way to provide those opportunities for them to be successful. Because then, standardizing everything doesn't work, right?
Nope.
Doesn't give them the opportunity to show what they know in a way that works for them. And when they know the material, but they aren't able to articulate it, it's like the word that's on the back of their tongue. They're like, I know what that means. I understand this concept. I can explain everything else other than that specific word.
Mm-hmm.
We say, you don't know it.
Right.
Because you didn't give me the word. Rather than, no, you know what you're talking about. That's called whatever.
Yeah.
I like also, right, of focusing where our percentages are going to be coming from. It should be from assessments. It should strictly be from summative, overarching, do you know this material, right? Not homework, not extra credit. It's grading the work, not the timing of the work. So going back to kind of that deadline, right, of how are you going to punify learning if it's not at the same pace as everybody else? Right? What does that build? What does that establish? Oh, well, they're more disciplined. They're going to put in more time. What if they don't have that time? Right? Then you're just saying that what happens in my 4 walls is more important than anything that goes on in your world as soon as you step outside of it. So I know that this is something that, it's at my school there's a late policy of, they give us a little bit of leeway, but they also want us to enforce some sort of late work type of lose 10% or whatever it might be. My methodology, I don't really do late work. Late work to me is when we get to that summative assessment time. If you don't know it, you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where your grade's going to come from, the punifying, the whatever it might be. If you don't get it 2 days before, something clicks in your brain and you're like, oh my God, this is what we've been talking about this whole time. And you're able to perform for me on Friday. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That was an interesting journey for you. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you did it and accomplished it. But I'm not punifying all the stuff that you didn't know. I'm not punifying your homework that you come in and do, the night before and make mistakes on. You're supposed to make mistakes, right? You're giving that effort. How am I going to take away points from you when you're giving that effort to me of trying to show me what you know? This is what you know. How do I say not good enough? Let me take those points back. Right? So I loved each of these concepts of the facets of where majority of grades have come from, the structure, right, of breaking everything down of the percentages of 30% projects, 50% tests, 10% whatever. Deadlines was a huge thing. And this is something that I have conversations with my peers about all the time of, yeah, we do a notebook. Yeah, we do have practice problems that we do each day that are structured in a form of notes that I check, right? And I review every morning and every day so that we have the opportunity to do that. But I do not take away points. I do not take away points. If you don't do it, you didn't do it. Okay. You didn't do it. I would always suggest that you do it, especially if you're not able to answer a question if I call on you in class.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are able to do it and you didn't do your homework, okay, you know it.
Right.
My job is done. Our job is done. Right? Compliance, you're going to have way more respect for me if I let you do you then force you to be the type of person or the student that I want you to be when it comes to listen to your authority. That's, huge buy-in. I can't even tell you how many students that I've had an infinitely better relationship with because that is the approach that I have of it's not daily like, you didn't do your homework again, -5, whatever it is. It's like, okay, like, did you have practice yesterday? Were you watching your siblings yesterday? Does this make sense? Okay, cool. Make sure you answer if I call you in class. I need your help. I need your brain. I need your thoughts. I need the way that you think, So I really liked that kind of idea of letting students learn at their own pace. And yes, deadlines are important. Yes, we have deadlines, but let those be when you're assessing them, right? I'm not collecting any work that we've done this trimester until we get to that summative assessment. On that day, you're turning in your notebook. I'm going to see what work you've done. Great. After that point, no, I'm not going to collect. I'm not going to collect this work. We've done this for this trimester.
Yeah.
Right?
We're on a new thing. It's okay.
Yeah.
You got it to the point you did. You only got a whatever score, depending on your scoring system. That just tells you that whatever habits you had, however much you were able to interact with the material, however much I was able to help you, take some ownership of it.
Sure.
Whatever job I was able to do, it only got you to this point. Now we're going to learn a new thing. How can you approach that new thing with that knowledge of what we just did for a few months? Because I'm trying to make you into a person. I don't really care if you memorize all this stuff as much as I care about what kind of person you're going to be. Are you developing habits and understanding and a positive relationship with adults and a positive relationship with learning? That should be the goal, I hope. Not just get enough compliance that the classroom is quiet. And that's as important as that is, because our nervous systems are overstimulated and our job is hard and burnout is high for very good reason.
Yeah.
But man, I care about these kids, and now seeing them moving from middle school to high school and seeing, oh, this is like, you're going to be an adult. Like some of my students are 18. Like, you're allowed to vote. Mother of God, you're allowed to vote. And this is your relationship with learning and with the world and with information and with trust in adults and people. And okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what can I do with this 4 months that I'm allowed to get to know you then? What can we do in that time? Or sometimes I'll have a student for 2 straight years. That's great, man. If I can keep you in my class for 2 years, we can make so much progress.
Oh, yeah.
We can really mentor. We can develop a relationship. We can get to the point where when you graduate, I would love to write you a letter of recommendation for a job or a trade school or college or whatever.
And that student is more comfortable within the world, as complex as it is, because of the structure and sometimes lack thereof that we're able to provide. Like that is the gift, right? Being able to set your students up for the tool belt to the world that is for them to build, right? However they want to build it.
Right.
So if they only have, a hammer, they can build some stuff. Might not be super structurally sound, but the variety of trust in adults, ways to study. Authority is not here just to govern me or just to, make my life hell. That there are those other types of relationships to be had, especially within, adults and education. That makes it a lot more feasible for students to want to do more challenging things, to want to be informed voters, right? To do the work, to do the research, and to know how to do the research on the props and the individuals that, that they're going to be voting on. That's huge of why we do what we do, right? Of how to research, how to structure, how to find information so that it's accurate. And then it's also like, can I digest this to be able to, do I agree with this? Do I not agree with this? What does this mean? Yeah. Informed voters. Oof. Oof. I like also in chapter 9 that it talks about cheating. Right?
It does. I have a couple ideas on the tip of my tongue.
Yes.
You care if I spit them out before we talk about cheating?
You go right ahead.
I love that you said creativity earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about creatively as a teacher, solving problems, coming up with assessments, developing your system. I think that's so important for you to be allowed to create and your creativity to be embraced, because that makes it fun for you and fun for the kids. Mm-hmm. Not everyone, not all the kids. Your creative idea of an assessment might land very horribly with students, and that's where options come in. And that's where, I'm so sorry, I said something very rude to Katie Novak on the last episode. But I love the things that are in the UDL framework, like giving students options for demonstrating their knowledge.
Definitely.
That's huge. It's positive. You have to be doing it. One of my favorite assessments that I gave doing 8th grade science was we were studying genetics and evolution kind of together. There's 2 groups of standards in NGSS in 8th grade. One about basic genetic dogma that a gene becomes a protein, and that's what you're built out of. And then also adaptation over time. How this idea of animals, species developing over time, adapting to their environment, how that occurs. So we studied, I had these models of 8 different primate skulls, and some of them were human ancestors, and some of them are just other primates. Like there was a gorilla, there was a chimpanzee, there was Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis. There were some other ones, Homo erectus, Neanderthal. Mm-hmm. So there's these 8 different primate skulls, and we spent a long time studying them, drawing them, learning how to describe the anatomy, thinking spatially about them. So fun. And at the end, students had to formulate an argument, because that's a lot of what we learn how to do in science. You need to formulate an argument based on evidence, mm-hmm. not an I feel, no, I think based on this. Mm-hmm. And understanding the difference between thinking and feeling and providing evidence. And so we would sit with teams having a Socratic seminar, debating in front of the whole class with a level of articulation and expression that blew my freaking mind.
Cool.
Because they're saying, well, I think specimen 1 is actually more closely related to specimen 3, because if you notice the sagittal crest and the large eyebrow ridges, that means that they probably developed in a similar environment, because the sagittal crest is where the chewing muscles were anchored. So they probably were consuming the same kinds of foods. Mm-hmm. And
fascinating.
What?
Fascinating.
This is a 13-year-old saying this?
Yeah, that's cool.
And some of it's mimicry and
sure.
regurgitation of stuff we've learned in class, but they're trying to reason. Some kids at 13 do not want to do anything in front of their classmates ever. Okay. Then I want you to draw a phylogenetic tree showing how they're all related and then explain it on paper. Or I want you to group them into 3 species groups, 3 clades or whatever, and explain your reasoning of why they are in the groups they're in. So every one of the 8 species gets a paragraph, and you're going to explain it using a ton of vocabulary. Here's a vocab word bank. Also, we've been writing this in your notebook for 2 months now. Like, use your resources, bro.
Yeah.
So fun. I video recorded some of them.
Awesome.
I will still go back and watch them.
Oh, that's so good.
Because I'm like, oh my gosh, you sound more articulate than half the people I went to college with.
Yeah.
And no shade on them. Just you learned how to think, and you had fun expressing the idea that you were thinking at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be my job. Not you all take the computer-based test on the same day and express it in the same way. By the way, you're probably bored to tears mm-hmm. and probably not even able to focus. Your nervous system probably just wants to go run around and scream. Mm-hmm. Being able to be creative, having that freedom to design a project and then an assessment, and give students a few options mm-hmm. for, it has to be one of these. You can do it in front of everyone. If you do it in front, and a lot of students would do the Socratic seminar because it meant you didn't have to turn anything in.
Oh, yes. Me. That would be me. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah.
I don't have to write anything.
Awesome.
My options are I write like an 8-paragraph essay and do a phylogenetic tree, or I just have to have a discussion and sound smart. By the way, there are criteria where I score how you sound. It's on a rubric. We spend a whole day just reviewing the rubric so you get it.
Good.
This is how I'm going to be graded. And you do that the first day of the unit before we even start learning what a mandible is.
Going over the review questions, it sounds like, right?
That's it. This is our goal. Your goal is you're going to sound super duper smart. You're going to use academic vocabulary to blah, 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 blah. Well, what does that mean? I think it means, cool, that's a whole lesson. The whole lesson at the beginning of the term. And being able to follow the framework of first assessing what do I want my grade to measure, and then backward mapping from there. Okay, I want it to measure learning. Learning what? If you've been to Solution Tree PLC, it's like the 4 essential questions of a professional learning community. 1, what do I want the students to learn? 2, how will I know that they learned it? Cool. Work backwards from there. So I identify the standard. Then I write the rubric. After I write the rubric, then I make the assessment. Instead of planning it forwards, well, I'm going to do a lesson, and then a lesson, and then a lesson, and then a lesson, and then a test. And after I've designed the test, I'll write the rubric. Because it doesn't get to the same goal as doing it backward. So creativity is not only welcome, but required if you're going to do this accurately.
Yes.
You're going to have to make stuff. You're going to have to make rubrics. Large language models are your friend, by the way, for rubric creation.
Yes. Yes.
We should do a whole episode on that. I should post some things online.
Yeah, we can.
Some like scripts and stuff that I made.
Yeah, roll.
Yeah. So creativity, that was one thing I wanted to talk about before we talk about cheating. We already talked a lot about control. And I really believe that, like I've mentioned multiple times, I think that there's this phenomenon of the illusion of control. I believe when I tell people I teach at a continuation high school, they, oh, how's that? And they gasp and they think like, oh, you have all the bad kids. And like, no, I love my job. Here's the cool thing about my job. There's no illusion anymore. Like at my job, you get to see behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And realize you were never in control. You were never in control. You were never at any point. There's no such thing as control. There's just manipulation. And hopefully I manipulate kids to not blow up the classroom. Cool. They'll do it on their own if we agree on some expectations.
Sure.
We'll be a cool community. We won't burn the building down. But the third thing is that goes right along with control is authority. Working with teenagers, I think it really helps to understand that you're not in control and authority is not real. All authority, depending on who you read, if you read Michel Foucault or any of these philosophers on control or legal system or whatever you believe, authority is either mutual respect, meaning I actually believe that Schulke has goals and intentions for me that I agree with. He wants me to do well, and he's kind of structured this in a way that I'll learn stuff, I'll get a good grade, keep my parents happy, blah, blah, blah. We agree on the mission, on the goal. Same as with a job. I like working at my school because I have a mutual respect with my admin. I agree that we're on the same page. We have the same goals. We agree on what my job is. It's awesome. So there's mutual respect. And the other thing that gets conflated with authority is violence. Because I said so means do it or else. And then what's the or else? It's a threat. And it doesn't have to be physical violence. Like it's a threat. You know, you're going to lose your participation points. That's violence. That's a threat. You're threatening a child. How is that improving your relationship with them? And when you recognize that all authority is either mutual respect or violence, then it forces you to choose one. Well, which one do I want? Do I want you to come to, like you've said, do I want you to come to my show? Would you want to come to my show? Do you want to be here in our classroom? Is it based on mutual respect or violence? Because where I currently work, not to make it completely self-centered, but where I currently work, these kids already, in most cases, have a bad relationship with school. And they know I can walk out of class whenever I want. I can do whatever I want. I'm physically restrained by the gates around the school because we have a closed campus. But they can, I can't touch them.
No.
I wouldn't want to.
No.
Like, they can tell me, fuck you, and get up and walk out of my class.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is for that never to need to happen.
Exactly.
I would like for that never to need to happen. When is it going to happen? When they feel like I'm trying to control them, manipulate them,
sure,
trying to assert some form of made-up authority.
Or they don't understand what your objective is.
They're frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. They don't get it, or they can't right now. I woke up and watched my dad hit my mom, and now I'm at school.
Mm.
You think that happens? Yeah, it happens.
Sure.
You've had a kid in class. If you've been teaching any amount of time, you've had a kid in class for whom that was the case, or whatever. I got myself up and my sister and got us both fed and to school because my mom's strung out. Because mom works a graveyard shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because life's hard. Because I'm in a foster home. Because whatever. And some kids aren't gonna look the way you want participation to look. And that's why we can't grade it.
Yeah.
That's why it can't go on a report card. It's data. We can act on it. We can try to help them. We can try to meet them where they're at. But when you get obsessed with control and the illusion of control, the illusion of authority, I think that's when everything starts to really go downhill.
Definitely.
And so, no, it's not anarchy in my class.
Yeah.
Like we're learning.
Do what you want. You're fine. You can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want, man. Like,
we're chill.
It's not totally hippy dippy.
Yeah.
But it is, hey, everything's a choice. Like, you didn't have to be here today. You can cut class. You're really smart. You know how to cut class. So if you're here, this is my recommendation. Mm-hmm. This is what I've made for you. If it doesn't work, tell me why not. Mm-hmm. And if you can't right now, that's cool. And so does everything look like active participation? No. And that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's okay, because we get there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for letting me spill those thoughts out of my head.
Of course. They were good. I liked them.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, anytime.
Thoughts, commentary, critique?
No, I mean, I agree with all of that. The creativity, the control, the authority. I mean, those are huge foundations of where our grades come from, right? Of assigning percentages to that to a degree with different verbiage, right? The participation, the homework, the whatever, those are the modalities to get to those three, or at least those two, the control and authority portion of our grades. And that part isn't our job. Our job is not to control. Our job is to teach. In order to teach, right? We have to provide an environment that's structured enough without it being so structured that it's constricting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our job. That's, again, the art.
Yeah.
Science, what does your grade reflect? Mm-hmm. Art, how do you provide that and structure that environment to where you're actually going to get something that's accurate when you assess them?
Right. I think it's important to know. I wasn't taught this in a credential program or anywhere. I had to figure it out on my own. Yeah. But when you have those control things that I hate that they get called this, but we call them routines and procedures and classroom management. Mm-hmm. And what it is dog training. And dog training will get you very lower level learning compliant behaviors, but it will not get you to that high depth of knowledge, that synthesis and analytical thinking and really engagement with the material. It kind of prevents it. Mm-hmm. So you were saying that control, that hyper control mechanism, it actually slows the learning down, and it's going to frustrate you, and it's going to make the kids not perform the way you hope they will. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it's a good thing to do. If I can just get them to fall in line, then they'll learn. They won't.
No.
They're not going to.
Not at all.
They're just going to hate you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to talk shit behind your back. They're going to blow up your classroom. They're going to stick pencils in the ceiling and steal stuff off your desk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rita Pearson, she said it best. You don't learn from anybody you don't like.
Word.
Crushed it.
Yeah.
That was
well
so
said.
poignant to me. She did a TED Talk.
Oh, cool.
Incredible educator.
Writing it down.
Yeah.
Rita
Pearson.
What up, Rita? Pearson.
Yeah.
Okay. This, along the same lines, this book, The Self-Driven Child, William Stixred, PhD, and Ned Johnson, goes into a lot of the science of that, of motivation, like intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Cool.
And the idea that you can, the science-driven idea that you can only use extrinsic motivation to get very simple algorithmic, like dog-like behaviors done. You can dog train with it for sure. You can Scooby snack the kids with points and a classroom economy of bucks and prizes and things, and they're not going to learn at a high level. They'll look like they're behaving very well. Mm-hmm. It'll get you behaviors.
Yeah, they'll learn that system really well.
Yeah, they'll develop compliant behaviors, but they're not going to learn at a high level. And they're not going to get motivated to do it on their own, so you're not making a lifelong learner out of them.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to question 2, Morgan.
Okay, but I think question 2 is actually talking about what we were going to jump into just a moment.
Oh, cheating. Lay it on me.
We're all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's read the question, right?
Okay.
Some consider cheating on an assessment not an act of disobedience, but as a signal that though she is struggling, she is still engaged and cares about her success. Why is cheating arguably a reflection of greater engagement than if the student simply skipped the assessment?
Arguably a reflection of greater engagement than if the students simply skipped the assessment. It's definitely evident of what the motivators are in the classroom, I think.
Sure.
Because if the motivators are points, if you have a points-driven economy, the economy of grades is an idea that Feldman revisits throughout the book. If that's the motivator, is get the points, then obviously that's the motivator. And what's the easiest way to get there? We've talked about that before here. If that's the game, if I can augment my grade by copying something and turning it in, because homework's 25% of the grade, all I have to do is copy and turn it in. That gets me a ton of points. That's easy. And then if there's a way to cheat on the test, why not do that too, if that's the goal?
Because I want to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? If I cheat, I want success somewhere.
Yes.
By any means necessary. Again, learning the structure of how to cheat, what to cheat on, X, Y, and Z. That's a different story for a different time. But cheating versus not cheating, I want to be successful. I want to show something. I want to know this.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. If I skip the test, I don't care enough to know. I don't care enough to show you.
Right.
I don't care enough to try. Because that, again, takes a different level of effort. That in itself, if you probably put as much effort into trying, as you might have done trying to cheat, trying to communicate with those peers of like, hey, so, when they're not looking or whatever it might, right? All of those types of conversations and times that it takes to get those answers, to write those answers down, that could be transferred, right? Of talk to that same peer. How do you get this problem? I don't understand it.
Right.
What did you do? How do you study? Okay. You watch this YouTuber. Oh, you go to Miss Morgan's tutoring on Mondays. Oh, okay. Okay. So if I'm doing all the same things that you're doing, it might make more sense to me. At least that's something that's different than what I'm doing right now. That's a starting point. But I like what it says in here of kind of that concept of they care enough to try and cheat rather than they either don't care enough or they're not confident enough to show anything in that way.
Right.
And how to grade that, right? Because if we give a straight 0, it is incredibly likely that they know something.
Yeah.
If they've been in your class, if they haven't missed the entire trimester every single day, they've got something. even if it's just a vocabulary word that they've heard you say 10,000 times and they kind of understand the objective of it, but maybe they don't know how to apply it, that is something in and itself. And so to give them like a straight 0 if you do catch that cheating, right? We're going back to that grading of like, does that reflect what the student knows? No, it doesn't, right? To punify the student that they cheated off of also takes away all of their knowledge that they have learned, that they've gained, that they themselves maybe have figured out. And so it's what to reward, right? So if I give them a 0, if I don't give them the 0, if I give them partial credit, then I'm rewarding that behavior. Not necessarily, right? You don't take that test as the final face value of, okay, well, you cheated off of it, 0 points, or I see what you were doing here. Let me give you at least partial credit. You still failed, but let me give you at least partial credit. No, it's, okay, you cheated. Let's go back. What do you not understand? Here's a roadmap of how to understand it. On Monday, you're going to have a very similar test, not the exact same one, but a very similar one, because you need to show me what you know. You have to show me what you know. That is where my grade is coming from. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will push you in that way. I will challenge you in that way. You need to meet me halfway. Here's my 50. I'm not going to give you a 0 because you're not a 0. You are more than a 0.
Yeah.
And this is how to be more than what you think you know. So I liked that portion of it too, because I've been in situations where I've had students that found a copy of the test that was printed the day before in the printing room of the teachers, right? They were able to get it.
Sure.
They were able to have, a few students essentially do it, share the answers. Honestly, like, not good job, but great work.
Right.
Right? Like, a little level of deception there. That's not my favorite, but like, way to work as a team. Way to find your leader in that way, of the person that has that skill or that passion or whatever. For those that took that on and did the work and figured it out, good on you, right? So taking those, not necessarily rewarding those behaviors, but acknowledging like, hey, there is a skill in and with those behaviors that is beneficial. Right? Communicating with your peers, delegating tasks, being able to complete complex tasks and figure out, okay, who gets those? What are they reliable? Right? Are those individuals that did these problems, are they reliable people for me to be able to take their work from? I loved that. And we had a whole nother test. Okay, no problem. Thank you. No matter what the grade was, I'm going to keep this here as just like a baseline, because I don't know who cheated and who didn't when the entire 7th grade had access to this assessment. So we're going to do Form B, and we're going to do it on Monday.
Yeah.
And I need to see what you know. And I, made sure that assessment was printed right in front of me, collected, put in my own personal safe spot that I knew nobody else had access to where I could assess them. I could have just given everybody a 0 because there were students that were honest and be like, yeah, I got the answers to these questions. I got X, Y, and Z. Thank you for being honest. Okay, this wasn't a fair assessment then. We're going to try again. Great practice. I hope you were able to take this and get some practice from it and, ask some questions if you have them, right? But you will be assessed on this.
Yeah. I love that descriptive story of the cheating phenomenon. The cool thing that happened, those students who got a copy of the test, what did they do? They crammed.
Yes,
with
they
the
did.
best study guide you possibly could have, which is the exact questions that are on the test.
Exactly.
They probably accidentally learned a lot of that material to the point that when they got a different version of the test, just with the words or numbers slightly changed so that you actually have to prove you can think about it, they probably had a better understanding having crammed for it.
Yep.
There's a lot to learn there. I'll leave that to every listener to go ahead and pick that apart for themselves.
Yeah.
But what didn't happen is what's described. I love, Feldman describes this really well. He goes into the philosophy of consequences and the idea of retribution. I get my feelings hurt by a child and I demand retribution. You must be punished. There must be a consequence. You must suffer because you hurt my feelings. You lied to me. Really, you're acting like a big baby. You're mad at a child for actually doing something kind of smart. Is it the ethics you agree with? No.
Sure.
No. Is it good ethics you want them to have for life? No.
Yeah.
We don't want that either.
Exactly.
We want academic integrity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could labor that point to death. But your job is to have enough emotional composure to temper that reaction, which is understandably offended.
Sure.
These are children with whom you have a relationship. You want them to respect the sanctity of this house of sacred learning, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Now, when you're done feeling whatever you're feeling, let's go back. What do you want your grade to measure? Oh, you want it to measure learning. Learning what? How are you going to measure that? Oh, okay. Well, maybe this giant test, maybe you're mad because you spent so much time making this test that has all these questions that go over all the things. Maybe you could simplify that into one really comprehensive question. Or two, or something that go over the whole unit. And if there's more than that, maybe that unit's too large, and you should have had a summative assessment 3 weeks ago. Okay, great. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Take note of that, move forward, redesign the next unit with that in mind. We'll be back to this next year. That's fine, move forward. How am I going to retest all these kids? I really want to know, do they understand the big point? Well, what's the big point? How am I going to test them on that? Cool. That's what version B, version C, version D become. Different versions of measuring the same exact thing.
Yes.
With different numbers, different words, different examples. And maybe if you have just a few students who cheated, I've had this happen, you can tell all of your submissions are identical. And I did take statistics in college, and I know that this isn't a coincidence. Okay? That you all chose the exact same words in the exact same order. I don't think that's a coincidence. If it's as simple as like showing me your work on a math problem, like I hope you all show me a very similar process because I taught it to you.
Yes.
Like it should look almost identical to what we wrote on the board 2 weeks ago. However, with other things, like you can tell, a teacher can tell, or at least have a reasonably high suspicion that I think there was some cheating involved. Great. Sit those students down one at a time and ask them to explain their answer to you. And it will become very evident who gets it and who doesn't. And then when they don't, you say, it looks like you actually don't really get this. I want to help you get it. I really want to measure that you get it. Because right now, this would be your grade based on what you actually understand. And I don't think that's what you want. And I understand, like maybe we got to test day and you realize like you didn't do any of your homework or your studying or the classwork, or you were sick. You were out with illness X for 2 weeks, or, you were out of town for a funeral and missed a week of school. These things happen.
Yes.
Life happens. That's why you kind of got to be okay doing your best when you can. And if you get a C, you're not going to die. It's
not a reflection on you.
No.
It's a reflection on what you were able to do within this specified time.
Right.
Period. If you don't like it, let's change it.
Right. And that's okay. And maybe understanding that anxiety that you get before a test, really focusing on what that is and what it means, and then using it during all of the formative work on a regular class day. All right, maybe now I need to be the psychologist and help you with that in a positive way. One of my favorite instructors in college, one of my calculus teachers, he was a lecturer. They're not called a professor if they don't, they're not like a researcher, PhD, whatever, if they have a master's degree, but they can teach calc. They're a lecturer. So this lecturer, his name, I don't know if he wants a shout out, but his name's Hike Stepanian. Fantastic teacher. Amazing teacher. And I remember I bombed a test one time. And I remember having anxiety before the test and then depression afterwards, right? Because if you have anxiety, you're obsessed with the future. If you have depression, you're obsessed with the past. And both of these things happen. And I remember going through it emotionally and asking him, hey, like, you've taken so many math tests in your day. Oh, yeah, I have. Okay. Dealing with the panic of knowing you're not adequately prepared for a test or just being nervous about what's to come. Like, how do you have any like advice for dealing with that? And he went, oh yeah, I absolutely do. Here's the deal. The moment before a test should be the most relaxed moment of the term because all of the hard work is done. All you're doing is taking what's already in your head and putting it on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. Learning it's hard. Really understanding it's hard. That's when you should panic. You should panic at the beginning of the term and the middle of the term, and maybe for the week leading up to the final. You should have a degree of urgency and really understand what investing your time and asking for help coming to office hours is for. But the moment before a test, he's like, dude, that is the most chill. It's serene. You just relax. Like, oh, all the learning's done. This is just measuring what's in my head. Oh, okay, cool. Explaining that to a teenager and watching the light bulb click, like, wow, I think you're right. Because they've been lied to and they've lied to themselves about this. I have test anxiety. No, you have poor preparation.
Yeah.
You don't have test anxiety. You do not. You have poor preparation in almost all cases. Okay? Do some people have a psychological complex where tests freak them out because of this? You probably have anxiety about everything, not just tests.
Sure. Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety, which
again
is a human thing.
Yes.
Right? We don't like being put on display. We don't like being measured. We don't like being judged because evolutionarily that meant you're probably going to get kicked out of the group and you're probably going to get eaten by a bear out in the woods by yourself if they kick you out of the village and the tribe, right? That's what that meant. Well, we don't have that anymore. You'll be fine. If you have to do a public speaking thing for your class, and as long as you don't pee your pants, it's probably going to be fine. And even if you do, nobody has their phones out. They'll forget about it next week. But going into tests now with that idea, like, oh, tests are actually kind of fun. Like, viewing it, it's cliche, and I've heard teachers say it, and I'm like, oh, eye roll. A celebration of learning. I love to call a test a celebration of learning, and the students roll their eyes, and they're like, shut up, Schulke.
Yeah.
It's a test. We know what a test is. We hate tests.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, great news. We have a celebration of learning this week. It's going to be so fun. You are going to get to demonstrate all the cool things you know and know how to do.
See you on Friday.
You are going to be able to really look like and feel like an expert, which I think is pretty rad. Eye roll, eye roll, eye roll. But revisiting that, and even at the beginning of every term, or the beginning of every week, or the beginning of every day, asking people to talk about the anxiety they've experienced before a test. And okay, what if you had the choice to just feel that right now and apply that fear to how you want to perform on this learning activity today? Because it might feel like busy work, but if you trust me, I've really designed this to help teach you new things. That is the point.
Definitely.
The point of us doing this now is for the test to be easy. The point of today is to make the test in the future easy. Maybe that's a thing to learn for life. Maybe I never got taught how to teach that.
No, me either. And I mean, also, it briefly talks about it here, and it'll be talked in subsequent chapters about, yes, there is a lot of weight in these summative assessments, which does, can cause angst for those that haven't prepared themselves, yada, yada, yada. But for those that have prepared themselves and they're still anxious, knowing that this isn't the last opportunity to show that giving the opportunity for retakes for those students that don't learn at the same time frame that everybody else does, that also takes a huge weight off of, okay, so here's a deadline of when I'm going to hope that you know this material. We're going to check it out, right? But if for whatever reason, what we were doing, what you're doing is not working, when we get to that deadline, you're still going to show me what you know. If you don't like it, you have another opportunity, right? That opportunity stops at the end of this trimester because I turn in your final grades for that at that point.
Yeah.
And we're moving on. And that's okay.
We're moving on.
But yeah, that idea of, I loved how your professor had mentioned, like, you should feel good. You should feel good right before that test is handed to you and almost excited as soon as you get it. Scribble your name, the date on there, like, hell yeah.
I'm ready.
I
got my
know
pencil
this,
out.
right?
Let's go.
Right? And let me show you how I know this with all these different steps and maybe this, verbiage or, using the appropriate academic vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. I can't wait to start my units off and things like that when we go into our next school year, summer break right now, but going into our next school year with that type of mindset and that type of, introduction to those students that already have this preconceived idea of, I'm not a math person, I have test anxiety, I don't perform well when it comes to the big performance at the end of the unit, whatever. It's like, okay, I hear you. We can change that though.
Yeah.
It literally is as much in your head as anything else.
Right.
So here's how we can change that. Here's how we can control that, right? Because the level of anxiety is lack of control for what is happening in the future or what will happen in the future, right? So being able to give them those tools of like, okay, I see you. Great job self-identifying that. Like, I love that you can see this within yourself. Here's how to make that better though, because this is not the absolute that we want to carry on into our adulthood, right? Not being able to perform or getting too nervous to be able to perform when you're an adult. That's where those deadlines come in. Of like, yeah, you can quit every job that is hard and doesn't serve you. And yeah, you can get fired, but it's like, you need to pay rent, right? You need to be able to find something and do something that changes that type of feeling or behavior.
Right.
So that life doesn't have to be that hard. It is hard already.
Yeah.
Like this is a way to make it not as hard.
Right. But if I can rewire that tendency for you to label yourself as some sort of disease, I have this anxiety and that anxiety. You're just human.
Mm-hmm.
Every human's afraid of performance, public speaking, being judged, being labeled, being ranked by their ability.
Mm-hmm.
Every human being has fear. We all have fear. We all have an amygdala in our brain that tells us be afraid something's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a disease. You're not a label. You might experience some of these symptoms to a slightly different degree or in a slightly different permutation than some of your peers. But that's it. Mm-hmm. You might be slightly different, but you're not unique in the fact that you don't like tests or you don't like public speaking. You're normal. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, you're normal. Mm-hmm. You're a normal human. Great. Awesome. Fist bump. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Now, about those practice problems.
Yes, this is how we deal with that.
Right. About the test date. About this assignment that you are going to be required to do because that's how you show me you get it. Mm-hmm. The point is just you have to show me you get it. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. Mm-hmm. And we'll revisit that. I wanted to say about deadlines, and I hope I get a lot of hate for this. By all means, leave your hateful comments.
After you like and subscribe.
Yeah, after you like and man, slap that subscribe button like you'd really like to slap me after these comments. You can change a student's grade even after the end of the grading term. You can. Your school probably doesn't want to let you because it's extra work. Your secretary is probably going to give you a hard time because it makes extra work for them. Your principal probably doesn't like it because of ideas they have about deadlines and boundaries and consequences and et cetera. However, if you have that special case, and I've done this so many times, a student gets sick for the last 2 weeks of the term. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Do you give them an F?
That's not fair.
Not if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
I call home. I talk to parent. Maybe I even talk to student on the phone. I love doing that with a teenager. Can you put them on the phone? Talk to them, treat them like a person and go, hey man, I have to give you a report card grade. I want to figure out how we're going to get there. Like, are you able to do anything at home? Do you want me to give you stuff to do at home? Mm-hmm. Would it be better if you just rest? Are you in the freaking hospital? Mm-hmm. Are you out of state? Do you not have Wi-Fi? Are you in a different country? Frequently the case. All these are things I need to know because my job is I have to measure whether you learned standard A, B, and C. Your job is to learn it and show me. Maybe you need a slightly different way to get there. Do you have your book with you? Do you have the internet? Are there things we can do? Or do I just have to wait till you get back?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I have to wait till you get back, I have some options, and it depends on your school and your district and your principal and your secretary and et cetera. But there are options. There are options. And if you care enough to investigate them, you can find workarounds to do what's right. But to get there, to want to get there, you have to be settled on what you want your grade to mean.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get it. You don't want to do that with 200 kids. No one wants you to do that. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But when you get those 1 or 2 students at the end of a quarter or a trimester or a semester that have a very unique circumstance that deserves to be accommodated, treating humans like humans is a big part of our job. I want you to know this. I want you to feel competent and prepared to move on to the class that comes after mine.
Exactly.
That's what I want. Mm-hmm. And I don't really care if it looks different or if your behavior doesn't meet my expectations or whatever. So I can work with you. And I will have students come to me now and say, hey, Schulke, I bombed that final project, but I'd really like a chance to improve it and get a slightly better grade on it. Can I work on my presentation? Can I resubmit my essay? Can I, whatever the thing is, depending on the context. To give yourself the freedom to do that feels so empowering. It feels so good to know, no, I don't stay late to prep and create every single day. I don't miss dinner because I'm not given the resources I need to do my best work. What I will put a little bit of extra time and effort into is helping a kid in a meaningful way that treats them like a person. Mm-hmm. Not to martyr myself to work for free for the government.
Yeah, no, we're not saving the world.
You're not going to save the world by staying in your classroom till 8 p.m. grading papers. No. But to do a little bit of extra work before you go home, to call a household, to check in with a student, to design something that's a little alternative that's going to get you to your goal that makes you feel good, knowing my grade measures exactly what I want it to. Mm-hmm. As close as I can get it, and it needs fine-tuning forever. But the grade I gave that kid is a reflection of how well they understand what we're supposed to learn in this class. Mm-hmm. And that's chapter 9.
Bing.
Bing. 10's a continuation of 9. It talks more about real practices in real life and how to do things that don't explicitly just measure behavior.
Yes.
Which we've rapped about quite a bit already.
Yeah, we've hit on a good chunk of these concepts as I'm looking at the review questions.
Mm-hmm. Even some of the headings, like grades to teach students, not to control them. Mm-hmm. Already hit that. Mm-hmm. Questions to consider. There are several, and they are big questions.
And they're also talking about specific, back in chapter 4 or
yes,
things like that. So let's see.
Yeah, and some of the chapter even refers to stuff that is to come.
Yes.
Like in the very next chapter, they talk about different numerical grading scales, the non-percentage, the 0 to 4. Mm-hmm. There are other practices that support a growth mindset, late work, retakes, etc. Mm-hmm. The book goes into the last 3 or 4 chapters are really the how.
The how-to. Yeah, totally. To take with it what you can, take all of it.
Try it.
Yeah. See what works for you. See what you're able to get in regards to the buy-in from your students, and as well as what do you buy, right? What have you bought into and makes sense to you?
Yeah. It's like everything we share with a colleague when we have made something for our class, like some materials. And here you go, man, use or edit or trash. Mm-hmm. Use, edit, trash. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If you can make it work, great. If you need to just use it as an idea and build your own thing, cool. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the examples that we'll talk about in the last few episodes we do about this book, mm-hmm. a lot of them really are that. You need to understand it. You need to believe in it. It needs to work for your class and your content mm-hmm. and the way the culture of your classroom works. And those should all be wrapped up into it. So there's nothing in teaching if you're doing a great job, there's nothing where you can just be given a manual or just be told how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is really as close as it gets to any type of manual when it comes down to structuring your classroom, the grades behind your classroom, not classroom management, though. That again, that's a you issue kind of thing, right? That's how do you interact with people? That's how likable are you, and how likable are you because are you willing to listen? Is it your way or the highway?
Right.
Are you flexible? Are you realistic? Do you approach things in a way that lays it all out for the kids so that there's no, like, if I get an email from my boss saying anything that happened on the yard, anything like that is talking about the general, I read it verbatim to my kids. Yo, this is what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. Okay. This is what I have to deal with. Make this make sense.
Right.
Break it down for me.
I keeps it 100.
Period. Okay. Right. So, those modalities are really kind of what make teaching fun.
Totally.
That is where I get to be me.
Yeah.
And that is fun. I mean, I like being me. I think I'm okay.
For you to be an authentic human and for you to treat the little humans like real humans, that makes the job really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're all people. It should be fun.
It should be.
It should be like Auntie Morgan. You're hanging out with Auntie Morgan today,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to accidentally learn some math, but we're just hanging out, nieces and nephews.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it should feel.
It should.
It really should feel like that. It can be fun.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to figure out the way that it can be fun for you. I'm not saying do what I do. My brain's wired in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I've been through enough experiences. Like, I've been fired from jobs for being a bad employee. And if I get fired from my job while trying really hard to be a really good employee and not a compliant employee, like a really good teacher, I want to objectively be a good teacher that has good results. And if the things I think are going to get me there are going to get me fired, okay, that's really good to know that this is a bad fit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could get a new job as a teacher yesterday. There's so many unfilled teaching jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
I am infinitely employable. Also, maybe teaching's not for me, if that's the case.
Sure.
Maybe I can move on. Because with the amount of education I have, if I'm going to hate my job, there are a lot of things I could do that make way more money.
Yeah. It's so true.
It's so true.
It's so painfully true.
It's so painfully true.
Pay teachers more.
Yeah. Pay teachers more. Pay teachers more. Smaller class sizes.
Please.
Please. Yeah. I love that in the last couple opportunities to chat that we've had, we keep coming back to that. These students are people.
Yeah.
They're human beings.
Yep.
I'm a human being. And at the end of the day, the best way this works is if we all just act like it.
Mm-hmm.
If we all just act like, I'm a people, you're a people. Cool.
Yeah.
This could be fun and awesome. Like, not only am I a people, as a single subject teacher, I chose this because I'm a nerd and this fascinates me and my face will light up with enthusiasm when I talk about bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're building robots, we're talking about mechanics, we're talking about leverage, we're talking about how does an electric motor work? All day.
Mm-hmm.
All day, son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that might not be your thing. I'm not going to take it personally. You are in this class. I'm very lucky. I teach electives now.
Nice.
You know, I'm like, in one of his comedy specials, Dave Chappelle's talking about the haters and he's like, bitch, you clicked on my face. I'm like, hey, you signed up for my class. You know what it's called.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm glad you're here. Maybe it was your last choice. We don't have a lot of electives at my little school. That's okay. But we're here. We're going to learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be miserable if you don't want it to be.
It doesn't. Even in a class that you have to take against your will,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to suck the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to. We can get through it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like, school sucked for me too. School sucked for me, and I am pretty capable academically.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you all the ways it has sucked for me. Very many of them had nothing to do with school itself.
Yeah.
Does that sound like you? Oh, interesting, buddy.
All right.
Yeah. So you bring the outside world here too.
Mm-hmm.
I see you. I see you, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
uncomfortable
wonderful.
silence.
No, I mean, it can be, but that's also just reflecting. It's wonderful.
I could edit it out on the recording, but why?
Yeah.
It's just evident that it's a real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here thinking about things. You're sitting here thinking about things. We're seeing students' faces in our head. We're going over stories and anecdotes. And, I remember when he or she did, and we had this interaction. And if I could go back, going back to chapter 10, the third review question to consider on page 149 says, if you can, look back at an old grade book and do some tweaks. Mm-hmm. I remember doing this, working at the junior high school where I was, looking back at a previous grade book, or even looking at grades when I was reporting them, and hating that there appeared to be no mathematical relationship between the grade and how well they understood science.
Yeah.
Where I'm putting in grades on whatever it is, we're studying light and waves. And I know that you kind of get this stuff. And how am I going to give you a poor grade or a failing grade? Mm-hmm. How is it that you cannot earn credits for this quarter when I know you understand this at least a little? Mm-hmm. You know more than 0. All right. So my grade mathematically is garbage then. It's rubbish. I need to re-engineer it in a way. And this is something I've been thinking about all morning now. You teach maths and science. Mm-hmm. I teach sciences and things. Maybe I've noticed having conversations with colleagues that depending on where our enthusiasm is, some people think of things in a systems kind of way and some people don't. And this really is a systems approach to re-engineer the way your grade works.
Totally.
And it's very mathematical. It's also emotional. It's also very, very pathos. It's also very ethos. Like, is this ethical? Is this right? Is this just what I am doing? But it's also very logical. Does it measure what I want it to measure? Does this instrument precisely, reliably, accurately measure what I intend it to? Or does it not? And if not, how can I re-engineer it in a new way so that it does what I want it to do? Okay, now it's very complex. It's really complex. And I love the way the book takes an attempt at simplifying it or making it procedural. Hey, step 1, you got to understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
What do you want a grade to do? Because we can work backwards from there. That's not hard. Mm-hmm. It's work, but it's not hard.
Mm-hmm. And you only really have to do that work when you understand. You only really have to do it once.
Yeah.
Right?
There's fine tuning.
Of course.
Tweak forever.
Of course.
Modify every year. However, the big work of, and my story is unique. I decided to pull the trigger in like October of a school year. I went, no, this is terrible. The way I'm grading is not working. I need to make a change. Mm-hmm. And my first podcast episode I did with Derek Riddle, we talk about that because so I decided in October, I'm going to change the way I grade my whole class. This is going to get some pushback. So mass emailed all the parents. He replies to me because his kid was in my class at the time. And he said, I love that you're doing this and I love the way you explained it. Signed, the director of the single subject credential program at the local university. Oh my God, affirmation when I needed it the most. Right. Praise be. Yeah. Thank you. Pray on that.
Yeah.
Man. Because all the fear and anxiety, I'm going to have some of the most positively engaged parents mad at me. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky. And to have his support in that felt like, okay, even if I do get pushback, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Even if my colleagues disagree with me, that's fine too. Mm-hmm. Even if I'm not sure I'm doing it right, that's okay too. Mm-hmm. Just grow into it. Try to make sure you're measuring the right things. Try to make sure it's ethical. that it feels good, that it is logical and makes sense. And then change jobs, adapt it to a new class,
Sure.
invent a new class out of nothing.
Sure.
See how it fits there, adapt that class now to more project-based learning, see how it fits there. But once the framework is there in your brain of, I know what a grade's supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also getting better and better and better at measuring that,
Mm-hmm.
developing great rubrics, explaining it to the children in a great way, designing these units and projects in a way that actually does build up their knowledge and build their metacognition.
I like that when you mentioned that, changing it in the middle of a semester or whatever that setup was for you and kind of waiting for that pushback. I was a little apprehensive about it too, but I have to say that I have never had any pushback from any parent when I introduce this mindset and this concept. So meet the teacher night, I lay this out.
Mm-hmm.
Of homework is important. It's not going to affect your kid's grade.
Yeah.
I want to know what they know. The process of learning is not something that they're going to be punished for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if they don't do their homework because we have X, Y, and Z that we're signed up for, because you need their help with whatever, because whatever the situation is, just know that I'm not holding that against them. What is important, showing up every day, trying our best, asking questions, that is your student's responsibility.
Yeah.
That is what I'm going to hold them to a high standard with. And when we get to the very end, that's when I'm going to check to see, well, what work have you done?
Yeah.
Were you prepared? Let me check the test. Let me check your results on that test. Let me check the work that we've done this whole entire, unit. Does it make sense? If so, great. You're going to get the grade that reflects what your student knows.
Mm-hmm.
And with that level of freedom, your students in the middle of middle school, at least in my class with 7th grade, I'm trying to teach them how to structure their own worlds to find success when they have the freedom to do so, because they're not going to do anything but continue to get that freedom, whether it's in certain classes in high school or as soon as they graduate and they decide, well, what do I want to do now? Isn't it the most free time, right? Of what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I introduce this. And, if I get the specific questions, well, homework's really important. And I think, should my student have homework every night? We're going to have things that they can review every day with you. If you're the type of family that reviews those things every night, awesome. You can check, have them show you what we did on today's date. They should have a date section on each of their, notes/review question sections. You go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them that information. I'm going to review the answers with them the next day. I'm going to hope that they ask questions. That is your student's responsibility. Please encourage that behavior.
Yeah.
Because that's the only behavior that I need from them.
For sure. Yeah. And thank you so much to every highly engaged parent that wants that for their kid.
Absolutely.
Like, high five, I want to give you a hug and buy you a cookie and
You're doing all the right things. And for those parents that can't do that, the things that you can do is encourage them to ask questions. Encourage them to show up.
Yeah.
If you can't be there at home with them to do the homework, if you can't explain that to them, if they are responsible for a lot of things at home because that's how your family dynamic works, no problem. I appreciate you as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The effort I need is for you to tell them to bring it to me.
Yeah. Can I share with you something that I did that helped with that quite a bit?
Yeah.
When I was teaching 8th grade science, I had a cohort of students with highly engaged parents, and something I tried, we have all the messaging apps and things where we can mass email or there's a phone app, and your school probably uses something like this. You have at least the ability to mass email. And what I started doing is at every kind of checkpoint throughout a unit, I would send home a list of conversation questions about our material.
Awesome.
For them to, because when you ask a teenager, what'd you learn at school today? I don't know. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't ask them that. Ask them, who was Isaac Newton? What are his laws? What does equal and opposite reaction mean? Make it suit your content. If you're not sure, reword the chapter review questions in your text that you use. If that doesn't work, use a large language model, your ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity. None of these are our sponsors yet. And it worked so well with some parents. I had like multiple parents reply to those messages and emails. Oh, this was great. We talked in the minivan on the way to school today. And then I think it probably, I didn't study this, measure it, like whatever. Logically, though, I would argue that it would increase engagement and curiosity in the kids.
Sure.
Because when their dad asks them in the van on the way to school and they're not sure, that might bring about a curiosity or another question during today's learning. And if nothing else, maybe it improved that relationship with that parent.
Sure.
Which is way more important than whether or not you know who Isaac Newton is.
And Dad might also know a thing or two to where he can explain something to me in a way that maybe Miss Morgan couldn't cover.
Yeah.
She didn't know.
Maybe he remembers it. Maybe he's going to review it. Maybe he's going to watch a YouTube video and he's going to review it with you at home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Love that.
It's so good. Like,
love that.
If you have engaged parents, find a way for them to interact with their kid about your content because they'd love it.
I mean, and also if they're not engaged, they might just not know how. Right? This gives them the opportunity to be able to engage.
Yeah, they don't know. Or show me how to do this, or tell me about this book you're reading. What is a quadratic equation? What do you use it for?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me that? What do you use it for? Mm-hmm. How is a fraction actually a division problem? Can you explain that to me?
Mm-hmm.
How is multiplication really just complicated addition? Can you explain that to me?
Mm-hmm.
How is an exponent really just complicated multiplication? Can you explain that to me?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Get the kids to be able to explain things.
Yeah.
Because that's that, show up for your Genius Hour project and give me a TED Talk, sound like an expert that you were talking about. Yeah. That's our goal.
100%.
You need to sound competent and articulate about something. Because your ability to do that is how you go out and be successful in the world. That makes me trust you to be allowed to vote later.
Sure. Sure.
But if you can't turn an idea into an explanation, I question how much I want you making choices that affect me.
Sure.
Or taking care of me later.
Yeah.
Or fixing my house. Or whatever it is.
That's wonderful. I love that. I can't wait to come up with those questions. I mean, they're going to be, know.
Because you have highly engaged parents where you work.
I do.
Not all.
No,
but plenty.
Yes.
Do you think it's something that would work for your content?
100%. And for those that don't know how, because I also do have parents that say, I just don't know what to do for them. I don't know what to work on at home with them. So I say, okay, we'll work on the foundations, practice those types of things, make sure that we know our multiplication facts, make sure that we understand our basic fundamental mathematical things that we should have, a decent level of mastery before, like by 6th grade, right? By 5th grade. But specifying it,
script it
for each unit,
make it a conversation.
That's fantastic.
3 to 5 simple enough questions that they can spark a conversation with a non-expert. That worked for me. I
love that. I'm going to try it out.
That's my personal share right there. Yeah, and I'd love to hear from other teachers that have tried similar things.
Oh, yes.
I'd love to leave a comment. Please. Spotify and YouTube, leave some comments.
Takes a village.
I'll read them.
Yeah.
I will read the comments, even the bad ones.
Yeah. Those are sometimes the most fun.
Yeah.
What
kind of names can you call me? I'm fascinated.
I'm looking through chapter 10 on the...
Looking at the headings and such?
Yeah, looking at the headings. A lot of it's talking about homework.
A lot of it is homework. What are you going to do with homework? How are you going to motivate homework without letting it trash the grade in some way? It also shouldn't inflate the grade in a way that they get a grade that's higher than what they actually understand.
Exactly.
Like if homework is 50% of your grade, then this kid could get a really high score in your class without learning a whole lot because you're just kind of measuring behavioral compliance.
Yes.
Not great. Not great. Yeah, there's a big chunk on reframing homework, which is definitely worth a read. I mean, we could sit here and restate everything in here. But to reiterate, if you were going to dive into this book and know that you are not going to read it front to back right now, Read 9 and 10.
Start with those chapters for sure.
Jump into 9 and 10.
Yep.
I think it has enough of the ethical appeal, the emotional appeal, the logical appeal to really explain what the book is about. It really explains how your grades are a tool and a vehicle for you to make sure that these kids have a good relationship with school and with learning.
Totally.
And a lot of the stuff that got done to us, maybe, looking back, maybe had the opposite effect. Maybe some of the ways I was graded as a child worsened my relationship with school in ways that still exist. And I'm 43 and I don't fit into educational spaces very well. I wrote another essay about that also,
Nice.
educationupgrade.substack.com.
Nice.
Love to hear your comments. Yeah. And that sucked as a child and now as an adult. In the era of access and inclusion, to feel like educational spaces are not made for me. Like whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing student. There's a way to do student, and the way I do it isn't acceptable. That sucks to feel. As an adult, that sucks to feel. Probably because it brings up, let's Freud the heck out of this. Probably because it brings up childhood stuff.
Yeah.
Or Piaget it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of those emotional experiences imprinted based on childhood, like things that I went through. We all do. That's how your brain works. But that's what's happening to the kids in your classroom. You are having a lifelong effect on something, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're trying to or not, these kids are going to spend a lot of time with you. And you're teaching them, maybe not explicitly. Maybe it's not out in the open, but you're developing their understanding of the way the world works, of right and wrong, of am I being judged? Am I being accepted? Is the way I'm just inherently built wrong?
And being a model as well of what, if they enjoy you as a person, what that type of person can look like when they're embarrassed, when they need to apologize, when they are, trying to do something challenging, doing and going through those steps in front of your students of like, oh, this is a great question. You know what? I don't know. Here's how I would look it up. Here's what I would do. Hey, you know what? I got a little bit frustrated back there and I yelled. I'm sorry.
Right.
This is what I was feeling. It was not appropriate for me to do that. That's not cool. I lost my cool and my job is to keep it. I'm sorry for that. Right? Modeling and giving the example of the type of person that they may want to be, or at least facets of that, is also what we get to do every day. Like, oh, I really like that. I really like that teacher. I really like how they operate. I really like how they talk to people.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to be that.
Might not be conscious at their young age, but it's happening.
Oh,
they are going to emulate you if you seem positive.
Oh, yeah.
I think something else is happening in those times also. I think you're able to model that for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're able to heal yourself.
Tenfold.
Yeah, definitely. Are you being the kind of teacher you would want to be your child's teacher? You are newly filled with maternal instinct. Mommy Morgan.
Yes.
Are you being the kind of teacher you would want to be your daughter's teacher?
Yeah, I thought about that even before I had her, about and it was not even just my child, but am I the teacher that I would have wanted?
Word.
Right?
Yeah.
Not having children, whatever. Little Morgan, is this the type of person that little Morgan needed? Right? These are the things that little Morgan experienced. Am I speaking in a way that would have helped her grow in the way that she needed? Is that something that is and can be generalized? That is how, when I very first started teaching, that was my mind. I got into teaching because I hated some of my teachers. And I said, your ass, I could do so much better. Watch. And I did my homework, and I went and got my master's degree on curriculum and instruction so that I can learn, okay, well, what's the system that I don't know, that I haven't been privy to? And then how can I take who I am and what I am and make this work? Yeah. Make this machine work, right? If I'm the conductor,
right,
I'm going to fucking rock it.
And the way I choose to use grading as a tool that fits within that framework that I've chosen based on my ethics, the effect is huge because it affects every other part of it.
Absolutely.
The trust, the relationships, the actual metacognitive processes, the awareness of their own learning, developing study habits, academic integrity. It's all built into it.
Oh, yeah. The relationship with themselves and others.
Yes. Self-esteem, confidence, competence. Yeah. It's all built in there. It affects all of it. The widespread effects. I had no idea what all the effects were going to be.
Oh my God. So ignorant.
So ignorant.
So naive.
Yeah. I will say, being a young teacher, being like just barely off probation, like just barely legally harder to fire in my union shop.
Yep.
To flip that switch and change grading practices, I didn't know all the things it was going to change. And it blew my mind to go from getting questions like, when is this due? How many points is this worth? How much will this change my grade? To never get those questions anymore, ever. And instead get asked, Schulke, I don't get this.
Yeah, that.
Schulke, I'm sorry. I totally spaced out when you were talking about whatever, the second law of motion. I totally spaced out when you were talking about cardiomyopathy. Can you explain that again? Because I don't get it. Oh my gosh, you make my heart sink in my chest. Like, that's beautiful. That's what I want my job to be.
Yeah.
For you to go, I don't get it, because you're so aware of your own learning and you feel safe to ask me.
Yes.
And now I get to love my content. You don't get to love your content before that.
No. You're showing up.
Yeah. If you're that credential program student who's in it because, oh, I love my content, that's not going to get you anywhere. I love that you love the idea of teaching.
That will only carry you so far. This is a different world.
Yeah. And
not just content.
I think there are steps that have to happen first, because you can't make someone read, and you can't make someone like your content, and you can't make them be ready to do school today. And the answer to get out your book and go to page 45 could be, fuck you. It could be. And until you're ready to deal with that situation as frequently and severely as it's going to occur, it doesn't matter how much you like your content.
Agreed.
That's a tough one. It's tough.
It's supposed to be, though. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for sharing about your experiences with school.
Of course.
I want to hear more about the teachers you didn't like.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a lot of I don't have a lot of memories of things I didn't like. Do you have a lot of memories of teachers that were no bueno?
To be honest, that is where I remember each of my teachers, at least by name. But the teachers that really got me are the ones that I didn't necessarily remember the most. The ones that I remember the most are the ones that really tested my...
You had some conflict.
Character in ways, how I saw myself.
Provoked negative emotion when you were already flooded with it as a pubescent girl.
As a third grade student, my third grade teacher.
Okay.
The conversation that I had with her, because she called my mom and she confirmed this, is I said, you just don't like me because you don't get me. Boom. That was a lot. That was a lot to know that an adult doesn't like me. I'm 8, 9 years old at this point in third grade? And they don't like me because of who I am.
They've deemed you unacceptable.
I'm too difficult. I'm too whatever. Yeah, you don't like me because you don't get me. You just don't get me. I know you don't like me because you don't get me. You wouldn't talk to me that way You wouldn't have my desk be sitting outside. You wouldn't tell me to go sit in the area and not talk to anybody because I'm bothering you. If you liked me.
Mm-hmm.
So those experiences, and I'm thankful that I didn't have a lot of them. It only takes one, though. Really only takes one.
Yeah.
For you to go, I don't ever want to feel like that again. I don't want anybody to ever feel like that again. If I have any, power of that.
I definitely don't want to be that teacher.
No, never. So,
yeah. I'd rather be known as being mediocre at my job. I'd rather be disliked by the adults. I'd rather get my suit tailored for interview season next year.
Sure.
I'd rather do all of that than have those experiences with a child, just reacting to my environment, nervous system too overstimulated, but have that happen to where that's what a child experiences in my room and remembers about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
there's your why.
Yeah.
Frickin'
suck it.
End of summer PD. Remember your why, and we're all here to change the world with magic and glitter and sprinkles.
At the end of the day, I'm just changing my world.
That's it.
That's
it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
With that, making it better for others.
Yep. Would you still want to pay me to go to PD if you knew that nothing that happens in this cafeteria today is going to change anything?
I mean...
And I just avoided using so many cuss words right now.
I'm so proud of you.
It will not change a golly gosh darn thing.
Mm-mm.
I do swear. I do use swears in my life sometimes.
Yeah. I read somewhere, don't know if it's legit, but that the more you curse, the more trustworthy you are.
Then I am trustworthy as fuck.
I know. There's something to it. But yeah, I really liked those chapters. I'm excited for the next few that we talk about.
Yeah. And Feldman, sorry to cuss so much while we're talking about your book, but we're not saying bad things about the book.
We're passionate, Feldman.
I honestly like the book. When I first saw it, I got this book given to me because the administrators in my district saw it as a positive, but it was right before COVID, so they put a copy in everybody's box and then never talked about it.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, and they never talked about it at my school. I found out later, like, it was really inconsistent and dependent on the principals and all the things they had to worry about. And unfortunately, the school I was at the time, it's too big for its britches. It's unmanageable. It is an unwinnable school. If they split it into 3 different schools, it might be workable, but it just has too many kids.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was literally designed for 1/3 of the population that it has. So yeah, it's way overpopulated and hard to manage and
my goodness
stuff. So I got this book and then just sat on it for a while before I read it. I was like, grading for equity, what does that even mean?
How is it not equitable already?
Yeah, I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
Like grading's grading. And then doing the things that it recommends, like, well, look at your grade book. Does it mean anything? What does it mean? Or is it this catch-all omnibus grade that has, well, are you showing up and are you behaving the way I tell you to? And like, okay. Nope. All right, let's read the whole book.
You're into something.
Let's read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So this is our 6th, I think, installment that we've done on the book. I think this is number 6. And that brings us through chapter 10. There's 4 more chapters to go. So I don't know. I think those are worth doing individually, maybe. I don't know.
We can check through
them and see.
Yeah.
But we will get this book study wrapped up. When it is wrapped up, I will publish playlists.
Cool.
That have all of the book study chapters in order so that people can check it out. So that'll probably be at linkslearninglabs.com and people can check that out. Also on YouTube, there's already a YouTube playlist.
Nice.
That has all of these book study episodes and they're labeled with what chapters they address.
Nice.
Please leave comments. I don't know Now what's going to happen? Because the last book study we did, I mentioned that I actually did a Zoom with Joe Feldman.
Yeah.
Talked to him about the book.
Mm-hmm.
He thought it was cool. We were doing a book study podcast on it. He offered to appear.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And it would be remote. I might even offer to go to him because he lives in the East Bay.
Cool.
He's nearby. So I don't know. But now that was 2 years ago. And since then I'd had all those life changes. And I don't know if he's still game for it, but I'll reach out.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I'll reach out when we're done. When we're done with the book, I'll reach out and go, hey, is this something you still want to do? If he does, he wanted to do a Q&A, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So if anybody has questions about anything in this book or anything we've talked about, leave it in the comments. And I will use those questions from the comments on YouTube and Spotify to bring to Mr. Feldman and see if he has some commentary on the matter.
That'd be awesome.
So that's to come. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, wherever. And until next time, Morgan.
See you then.
That was a good one.
Oh, I liked it.
Cool.
Nice and